Hi everyone, Cheryl here from Love and Light Yoga, and thank you for joining me for this Yogalates workout for our legs and our glutes. So this is going to be a combination of some yoga movements and some pilates movements to quickly and effectively help us shape and tone our legs and our booty. So whenever you are ready, let's begin. Okay everyone, so let's begin by lying down on our mats today. Go ahead and come all the way down to your back. Press that lower back into the floor and just take the left leg reaching up towards the sky. We're just going to find a nice quick stretch through the backs of the legs before we begin. Maybe take a few little rolls through the toes or through the ankles. And if you want to, you might even send that right leg nice and long across the mat, just feeling this nice deep stretch through the hamstrings. And then whenever you're ready, we can bring the right leg up, lower the left leg down, same thing on the other side. Just gently pulling that right leg in towards the body, maybe rolling out the ankles. And then whenever you're ready, we might lift the head and the shoulders here, look down towards the toes, lift that left leg off the floor, and we're just going to do a few little switches with the legs. So just pulling one leg at a time in towards the body, lowering the other leg away, starting to switch on the legs and maybe switch on the core muscles here. Let's go for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Just 10 more. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Brilliant. Bring the knees in towards the chest. Maybe take a little rock side to side. And then bring soles of the feet down onto the floor, keep the knees bent up, and we want to have the feet about hip distance apart. We're going to bring the hands down onto the floor, and as we inhale, we're going to peel the tailbone up off the floor, come into your bridge. As we exhale, we lower. Inhale, we lift. And every exhale, we lower down. So just starting to bring this movement into the spine. Just flowing with the breath here for the moment. Inhaling to lift and exhaling to lower all the way back. And then once we have that movement, we might start to go a little bit faster here. So we might start to press into the soles of the feet, lift the hips, lower them back. And as the hips lower, just gently tapping them on the mat before pressing back up. So moving a little bit quicker here to lift and lift and lift. And every time we lift those hips, we're thinking about squeezing through the glutes to maybe go a little bit higher each time. Nice, let's go for 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, just 5 more. 5, 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Lift the hips and hold it here. Keep breathing. Keep lifting the hips as high as we can. Squeeze those glute muscles. Lift just a little bit higher. We're here for just a few more seconds. And then exhale, lower the hips all the way back to the floor. Maybe hug those knees back in towards the chest. Take that little rock side to side, just giving the spine a moment to realign itself. And then back to stillness, bring the feet back to the floor. We're going to come into another variation of our bridge, only this time we're going to take the feet as wide as the mat. And we can either keep the soles stuck to the floor, or if it feels good, we might lift up the toes. Bring your hands down onto the mat, and then as we inhale, we're going to lift the hips up high. As we exhale, we slowly lower. So just working with the breath at the moment. Inhale to lift. Exhale, we lower. So we're moving quite slowly in time with the breath. Just finding this movement, noticing how it feels within your body. And then once we feel quite comfortable here, we might start to work a little bit faster. So we might start to press those hips up high and gently lower to the floor. Just a very gentle little tap on the floor. We're not bringing the hips all the way back down. Just a little tap and a lift. A tap and lift. Tap and lift. Nice. Just keep it moving here. Every time we lift the hips, we're squeezing those glutes, and we're going to feel this much more in through the outer thighs. Let's go for 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Keep going for 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. We lift and we hold. Keep breathing. If we don't already have the toes lifted, maybe we try to lift the toes up. We're just here for another few seconds. And then slowly lower the hips all the way back to the floor, hugging around the knees. Maybe take a little rock side to side or forwards and backwards. And then eventually we're going to roll ourselves forwards. We're going to come into a cross-legged position. Having one foot in front of the other, it doesn't matter which one. Bring the fingertips onto the floor, keep the sit bones grounded, and just walk the hands forwards. Just taking a nice big stretch through the hips and through the glute muscles here. Taking a big breath. And then walk the hands back through center. We're going to switch that cross of the legs, so the opposite foot in front this time. Walk the fingers forwards and just feel that deep stretch through the glutes, through the hips, through the low back. Take one more breath here. And then whenever you're ready, we're going to roll ourselves forwards, and we're going to meet on our hands and our knees in our tabletop position. And we'll just take a few cat-cow. So inhale, we look forward, open the shoulders, point the tailbone up. As we exhale, tuck the chin into the chest and round the spine. Inhale, take it forwards. Exhale, chin to chest, round the back. Inhale forwards, drop the belly. Exhale, chin to chest, round the spine. Just taking a few more breaths here. And then after your next full round of breath, meet me back in your tabletop, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. And we're going to be on our hands for a little bit of time. So if your wrists tend to get a little bit sore, feel free to drop down to the elbows at any point if you need to. But right now we're here. We're going to stretch the left leg away, have the toes on the floor. And then as we inhale, we're going to lift the leg up. And as we exhale, we're going to lower it down. So inhale, we lift. And every exhale, we lower. So just like before, we're just working with the breath at the moment. We're really thinking about pointing those toes away, stretching the leg as long as it can be. As we lift, we're lifting it up as high as possible. And then when we feel comfortable here, we might pick up the pace and we might find a lift and lower. And a lift and lower. Lift and lower. Starting to find a little bit of power through that left leg. Really kicking the leg up high, squeezing the left glutes as we do so. We find a kick, a kick, a kick. Let's go here for 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Keep going for 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Lift and hold it here. Point those left toes away. Lift that leg as high as you can. Keep breathing. Keep lifting higher and higher. Take one more breath. And then bring that left knee back to the floor and drop down to your left elbow. We're going to send the left leg away one more time, lift it up. Only this time we're going to flex the toes and point your knee out towards the side. So we have this external rotation happening through your left hip. And we're going to lift, keep the toes flexed, and lower. Lift and lower. Keep breathing and keep moving. We're feeling this one a little bit more so on the outside of the booty and around the thighs. Keep breathing. Let's go for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got it. 5 and 4 and 3 and 2. And 1, lift and hold. Flex those toes a little bit more, straighten that left knee a little bit more, lift it higher. Take one more breath. And then lower the left knee to the floor. Take the toes together, the knees nice and wide, and sit back into a child's pose. Slow down your breath here in this child's pose. Stretch out the back, stretch out those hips. And then whenever you are ready to release, we're going to press up to the hands and knees. We're going to come back and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So go ahead and reach the right leg away. And as we inhale, we're going to lift the leg up. As we exhale, we're going to lower. Inhale to lift and exhale to lower. So just flowing in time with the breath. We can move nice and slowly. If we need to drop down to the elbows, we can. And then once we feel comfortable with this movement, we might pick up the pace and find a lift and lower. A lift and lower. Lift and lower. Every time we lift, we're kicking the leg up high, finding some power. Squeezing the glute muscles. Let's go here for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep going. 5. Kick it high. 4, 3, and 2, and 1. Lift and hold. Keep stretching that leg away, pointing through the toes. Squeeze the glutes to lift a little bit higher. Take one more breath. And then drop that right knee back to your mat. Nice. From here, we're going to lower down onto the left elbow. We're going to take that leg away once again. Only we're going to flex the toes, have that knee pointing out towards the side. I'm just spinning so that you can see. Have the toes flexed, the knee pointed out. We've got this external rotation through the hips. And as we inhale, we lift. Exhale, lower. Let's keep this movement going. So we can go a little bit faster here. We can go a little bit slower. Keep that left thigh nice and strong. Going here, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 5, almost done, 4, and 3, and 2, and 1. Lift it, hold it. Keep flexing through the toes, pressing the heel of the foot away. Take one more breath. And then lower everything back to the floor. Take one more child's pose. Knees together or knees wide, just whichever feels better. Breathe it out here. And then after your exhale, press yourself all the way back up, passing through your tabletop, only this time lowering the hips to the floor. And we can either keep the arms straight or we can lower down a little bit into our cobra. But we're just stretching it out here, breathing deep. And then eventually lowering and releasing all the way back to your mat. And from here, we're going to roll onto one side. I'm going to come onto my left hand side. So I'm going to have my left elbow on the floor underneath the shoulder, and I can have my right hand here just in front of me for support. Stretching both legs away, keeping the feet flexed so that the toes are pointing forwards. And we're going to find that lift with the top leg and that lower. That lift and that lower. Now, rather than trying to rush through these movements, I'm going to keep them a little bit slower this time, using a little bit less momentum, but trying to keep this movement as controlled as possible. So lifting and lowering, and I'm also keeping the core nice and switched on. I'm going to feel this also a little bit through the side of my waist. Taking a few more here. Always remember to keep breathing. Just take 3 more in your own time, nice and slow and controlled. And then when you've finished, bring your leg back to about hip sort of distance here so that the leg is just straight along. We're going to point the right toes away and just draw some circles with your toes. And it doesn't matter if these are big circles or small circles, but we want to draw perfect circles. So this is really controlled. We're just here for another few breaths. And then when you've finished, relax the toes and bring the sole of the right foot onto the floor in front of the left leg. So we're going to end up in a position that looks a little bit like this. And we can either keep the right hand on the floor or we can take hold of the opposite ankle. But we're focusing now on this bottom leg, this left leg. We're going to point the toes away and we're going to lift and lower and lift and lower. This is working your inner thighs here, which can be a little bit difficult to get into. So if we're finding this movement is very, very small, that's okay. As long as we feel that engagement and that work starting to happen. Just take a few more little lifts and lowers. And then eventually coming back into center, stretching both legs away. And then we're going to bring ourselves over onto our other side. So I'm just swinging over onto my right side. So my right elbow is going to be on the floor underneath the shoulder. Left hand on the floor for support. Stretch away both legs. I'm going to flex those toes forwards. And then whenever we're ready, we're going to lift that top leg up and lower it down. So we're lifting and we're lowering, and the whole time I have the core engaged. I have the side of the waist switched on here, Keeping the upper body nice and strong, so not letting everything dump into the shoulders. Stay up nice and high. And find this control. So rather than using momentum to swing that leg as high as we can, we want to keep it nice and controlled. Nice, taking just a few more here, keeping them as slow and as controlled as possible. Let's go for 3 more. And then when you've finished, bring that foot level with your hip, point the toes away, and we're going to draw those little circles. Little circles or big circles, it doesn't matter, but they're perfect circles. So we don't want any ovals, we don't want any squiggly shapes. We want nice, controlled circles. Just a few more breaths here, we got this. And then after your next exhale, come back to stillness. We're going to release that top leg, bring the sole of the foot onto the floor. Either keep your left hand where it is, or you can take hold of that ankle for support. But we are now focusing on this bottom right leg, and specifically the inner thigh. So we're going to point the toes away, find a little lift and lower, and a lift and lower, lift and lower, and keep breathing. And this side could be completely different from the other side, so if this side feels a little bit harder or a little bit easier, that's okay. Just noticing these things. Just a few more here. Let's go for 2 more. And then when you've finished, release that leg back down, stretch both legs away, roll onto your front. And then from here, we're going to take a Sphinx pose. So the elbows come under the shoulders, palms of the hands onto the floor. And as we inhale, we're going to lift the head, lift the chest, just gazing forwards, relaxing the hips. Taking a few deep breaths here. Maybe looking over one shoulder and then the other. And then eventually bringing the hands back to round about the rib cage, pressing up and back into your child's pose, just taking a few more deep breaths here. And then whenever you're ready to, release, walking the hands all the way back towards your knees, coming into an upright seated position. And good job, everyone. I hope that your legs and your booty will be feeling that. If not today, then maybe tomorrow. You can let me know in the comments below. But thank you so much for joining me today. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you would like to see more like this, please subscribe, and have a fantastic rest of your day. Namaste.